Inside trees, people have found all kinds of animals. Let me tell you about some of the most surprising cases. Meet Stucky, a real mummified hunting dog discovered inside a tree. But how did he end up there? Back in the 1960s, the dog chased a raccoon up a hollow chestnut oak, climbed too far, got wedged in a narrow spot, and couldn't get out. The tree kept growing around his body, and inside the trunk there was a steady dry airflow and plenty of natural tannins. Because of that, Stucky didn't rot. He dried out and became naturally preserved. In the 1980s, loggers cut the tree at a sawmill and found the perfectly preserved dog inside one of the sections. Today, Stucky is on display in the United States at the Southern Forest World Museum in Waycross, Georgia. Another interesting case surfaced in 2024. The site 1998 Daily published a viral story about a team of loggers who, while cutting down an old tree, heard something rustling inside the trunk. When they opened it up, they found a blind snake that had been living in the hollow. According to the article's authors, the snake might have lived there for decades, feeding on insects and small animals that got trapped inside. There's also a report from the New Jersey Pinelands Commission describing a hollow pine trunk that had been used for many years by different snakes, including corn snakes and a king snake. The king snake in particular was caught inside the same hollow tree several times. It seemed to be its permanent shelter. And when it comes to giant snakes, the internet is full of all sorts of videos, some of which you're seeing on screen right now. Unfortunately, I can't confirm how authentic they are, so feel free to tell me in the comments whether you think those clips are real or not.
A tree that explodes like a bomb, another blinds with just a touch, and one looks harmless until it's too late. Let's check them out. Somewhere along a sun-drenched beach in the Caribbean or Florida, a tree stands quietly, offering perfect shade. To someone unfamiliar, it might seem like the ideal place to rest. Yet stepping too close to this tree, known as the manchineel, could lead to serious trouble. The manchineel has earned a chilling reputation for a reason. Its small green fruits resemble harmless crab apples, but they hide a powerful secret. If a person were to take a bite, they could experience severe discomfort. Intense burning sensations in the mouth and throat have been reported by those unlucky enough to try. Even the leaves and bark aren't safe. The manchineel produces a milky sap that, if touched, can cause painful skin reactions. During rain, water dripping from its leaves may carry the toxic compounds, leading to serious skin irritation for anyone nearby. In regions where it grows, some communities mark these trees with warning signs or paint a red stripe around the trunk to help protect travelers. There's more. If the wood is burned, the smoke released can irritate the eyes and lungs, sometimes even causing temporary vision problems. It's a quiet kind of danger, one that's not always easy to see until it's too late. What's most unsettling is how ordinary the manchineel appears. Its bright leaves and inviting fruit don't hint at the risks hiding beneath the surface. The manchineel proves that some of nature's most peaceful-looking creations can be the most hazardous. When exploring coastal forests where these trees grow, locals know well to keep their distance. Nature, after all, doesn't always warn before it acts. Sometimes it simply waits, silent and still. If you thought a tree couldn't launch a surprise attack, the sandbox tree might change your mind. Found across tropical regions like the Amazon and parts of the Caribbean, this monster is often called the dynamite tree, and it earns that name quite literally. At first glance, the sandbox tree looks like a rugged, spiky giant. Its trunk is covered in sharp thorns that discourage animals, and curious humans, from getting too close. But what really sets this tree apart is its fruit. When the seed pods ripen, they don't just fall gently to the ground, they explode. We're talking about an actual blast strong enough to fire seeds in all directions, at speeds reaching 150 miles per hour. Getting hit by one isn't just painful, it can be dangerous, even deadly. In some areas, people have compared the sound of the sandbox tree's exploding pods to gunfire. If you're walking through a tropical forest and hear loud cracks in the distance, you might not be anywhere near civilization. You might just be near this tree, armed and loaded by nature itself. With a trunk covered in spikes and fruits that turn into miniature grenades, the sandbox tree feels like something out of a wild sci-fi story. But it's very real, and it has been terrifying explorers and scientists for centuries. Standing too close at the wrong moment could give you a memory or an injury that lasts a lifetime. Speaking of hidden dangers, not every deadly tree needs to launch an attack. Some kill quietly without making a sound. Let's move to a tree that has earned a chilling reputation in human history. Not because it explodes, but because it poisons without leaving a trace. In the peaceful landscapes of southern India, a quiet killer grows in the wetlands and riverbanks. The suicide tree, also known as Cerbera odolum. It doesn't look menacing. In fact, it has soft white flowers and green fruits that could blend right into any tropical paradise. But what lurks inside those fruits is what makes this tree one of the deadliest plants on Earth. Cerbera odolum contains a powerful natural toxin that can cause heart failure if consumed. The frightening part? The poison can be very difficult to detect. For many years it was used in secretive crimes because the symptoms often mimicked natural causes. Scientists today still study it because of how silently it works, like a perfect weapon hidden in plain sight. The seeds of the suicide tree were once known as murder seeds in local lore. Yet despite its reputation, this tree continues to thrive in its native lands. Its beauty offers no warning, no sinister aura, no danger signs. Just a gentle flower hiding a lethal heart. What makes the suicide tree even more unsettling is how easily someone could mistake it for something harmless. Just a simple snack, just a simple mistake, and the story could take a very dark turn. Thankfully, awareness about this plant has grown, and strict protections in some regions help prevent tragic encounters. After learning about the silent threat of the suicide tree, you might think you've heard it all, but nature still holds worse surprises. Some trees don't need poison or exploding seeds to become a nightmare. Sometimes just brushing against them is enough to unleash agony. Deep in the rainforests of Australia, a tree grows that seems almost too strange to be real. Known as the gimpy gimpy, this innocent-looking plant has been called one of the most painful plants on the planet. Hidden among the green, it can turn a simple brush against its leaves into an unforgettable experience. The leaves of the gimpy gimpy are covered in fine, almost invisible hairs. When someone accidentally touches the plant, these tiny needles can break off and embed themselves in the skin. People who have had encounters with it describe the sensation as intense stinging that can flare up with the slightest touch, even months after the initial contact. It's a kind of reminder that nature doesn't always play fair. What's so deceptive about the gimpy gimpy is its appearance. Its large, heart-shaped leaves seem welcoming, almost soft. In fact, early settlers sometimes mistook it for edible plants with very unfortunate results. Even today, researchers studying this tree must wear heavy protective gear, including thick gloves and respirators, to avoid any contact. This tree has caused enough concern that warning signs are posted in areas where it grows. Some reports even mention animals wandering too close and being overwhelmed by the effects. There's no aggressive attack, no loud noise, just a silent touch that brings a lasting impression. After hearing about a tree that can cause months of discomfort from a single mistake, it might seem that nothing could top it. But nature still has deeper tricks up its sleeve, like trees that quietly harbor one of the most feared natural poisons known to science. In the thick forests of South and Southeast Asia grows the strychnine tree, a plant that has fascinated and frightened humanity for centuries. To the eye, it appears completely ordinary, a strong trunk, spreading branches, clusters of green leaves. But deep inside its seeds lies one of the most powerful natural toxins ever discovered, strychnine. Strychnine is a substance that can cause severe muscle reactions in the human body. It was once used in tiny amounts as a medicine, but it didn't take long for people to realize just how dangerous it could be if mishandled. Historically, this toxin was associated with mystery and fear, weaving its way into countless dark legends and whispered stories. The seeds of the strychnine tree are small, hard, and packed with chemical power. Consuming even a little can cause serious health problems. That's why in many regions the tree is both respected and feared. Locals have learned to recognize it and avoid using its parts unless properly prepared by trained experts. Interestingly, despite its dark reputation, the strychnine tree is not just a bringer of danger. Parts of it have been studied for their complex chemical properties, offering valuable information to science and medicine. It's a reminder that even the most intimidating parts of nature can carry hidden layers of value. From silent forests to bustling human settlements, the strychnine tree has stood as a symbol of how something completely natural can wield almost supernatural power. And it's far from the only tree in the world that can surprise us with what it holds inside. Across warm regions around the world, the oleander flourishes in parks, gardens, and along highways. With its thick green leaves and pink, white, or red blossoms, it's the kind of plant that looks perfect in any sunny landscape. But beneath that cheerful surface hides one of the most toxic plants ever cultivated by humans. Every part of the oleander, leaves, flowers, stems, even the nectar, carries strong natural chemicals that can cause serious health issues if ingested. There have been cases where people or animals mistakenly chewed on oleander leaves, unaware of the hidden danger. Even dried branches stay toxic long after the plant is cut. The plant's danger doesn't come with any obvious signs. There's no foul smell, no strange colors. It stands proudly and quietly, offering beauty without hinting at the risks it carries. In fact, in some ancient cultures, oleander was planted intentionally as a protective barrier. Not because it formed a wall, but because very few dared to push through it. Despite its reputation, oleander remains a popular decorative plant today, especially in warmer climates like California, Florida, and parts of Texas. Gardeners simply learn to handle it carefully and respect its secret strength. After all, some of the most dangerous forces in nature wear the most attractive faces. While oleander conceals danger behind bright petals, some trees rely on sheer size and brute force. And sometimes the threat isn't what the tree is, it's what comes crashing down from above. In the mountain rainforests of Australia, ancient giants still tower overhead. Among them is the bunya pine, a tree so massive and so unique that it feels like a leftover from prehistoric times. And while it's not poisonous, it hides another kind of danger, one that falls straight from the sky. The bunya pine produces some of the largest cones in the world. Each one can weigh up to 40 pounds, about the size of a heavy bowling ball. High up in the branches, dozens of these massive cones hang silently. When they ripen, they can drop without warning, falling from heights of over 100 feet. A falling bunya cone isn't just a surprise, it's a real hazard. That's why, in parks and botanical gardens where bunya pines grow, warning signs are often placed during cone season. People are advised not to linger beneath them, not because the tree will do anything aggressive, but because gravity and sheer weight can create a dangerous combination. Beyond the risk, though, the bunya pine has a remarkable cultural history. Indigenous Australian communities once gathered for huge feasts, centered around harvesting the cones, which contain edible seeds. It's a tree that offered both nourishment and danger, towering over gatherings with quiet power. From exploding fruits to falling giants, the dangers that trees present come in all forms. And sometimes, the risk isn't from brute force or toxins, it's from dreams that turn just a little too strange. At first glance, the angel's trumpet seems like something out of a fairy tale. Huge, trumpet-shaped flowers dangle from the branches, glowing softly in shades of white, pink, yellow, or orange. Found across South America and cultivated in gardens worldwide, it's a showstopper of a plant. Yet few realize how carefully it must be treated. The angel's trumpet carries powerful natural chemicals that affect the mind and body in unusual ways. Throughout history, parts of the plant have been used in mysterious traditional ceremonies, always handled by those who understood just how strong it could be. Today, experts warn that even casual exposure can lead to very unpleasant experiences if someone isn't careful. It's not just the flowers that hold power. Every part of the angel's trumpet carries these compounds. That's why botanical gardens sometimes label the plants clearly, even though they look so inviting to visitors. The danger isn't aggressive, but it is quietly woven into the plant's stunning appearance. Interestingly, the angel's trumpet has left its mark on pop culture too. In movies and novels where strange gardens hide secret dangers, it's often used as visual inspiration. The sight of its drooping, oversized blossoms can feel both beautiful and unsettling, a perfect symbol of nature's double-edged artistry. While the angel's trumpet enchants from a distance, up close it reminds us that not all beautiful things are meant to be touched, and nature still holds even more surprises in trees that seem peaceful, until they aren't. On the remote island of Socotra, where the landscape feels more like a distant planet than part of Earth, stands one of nature's strangest wonders, the dragon tree. With thick, twisted trunks and canopies that spread out like giant umbrellas, these trees look like they belong in a fantasy novel. The dragon tree earned its name from the deep red resin that oozes out when the bark is cut. Locals call it dragon's blood, and for centuries it was prized for use in medicine, dyes, and even ancient rituals. To see it up close is to feel like you've stepped into another world, a place where legends might still be alive. Despite its magical appearance, the dragon tree isn't dangerous to touch like some others on this list. Instead, its story lies in its survival. Growing in harsh, dry conditions, these trees have adapted into their alien shapes to trap moisture and protect their roots. But the sap, while not immediately harmful, carries a strange power that fascinated people for generations. Today, The dragon tree stands as a living symbol of mystery and resilience. In the quiet winds of Socotra, their silhouettes create haunting scenes, especially at sunset when the branches stretch across the sky like ancient hands reaching for something lost. They remind us that nature's greatest dangers aren't always about direct harm. Sometimes it's the way they pull us into forgotten stories. And while the dragon tree plays its tricks with history and imagination, other plants take a much more direct approach. One that can leave an unforgettable sting. At first glance, the cow-itch tree looks innocent enough. It's found in tropical regions like Australia and parts of the Pacific, standing quietly with its bright green leaves and pretty pink flowers. But hiding inside its fluffy seed pods is a surprise few would want to discover firsthand. The cow-itch tree gets its unsettling nickname from the fine hairs packed inside its pods. These tiny fibers are almost invisible but can cause intense itching and skin irritation if they touch the skin. People brushing against the tree or handling its seeds have reported uncomfortable sensations lasting for hours. What's truly tricky is that the seed pods can burst open naturally, sending the hairs floating through the air like a harmless cloud. A person simply walking nearby could accidentally come into contact with them without even noticing at first. Later, the itching sets in, a powerful reminder of how small things in nature can create outsized reactions. Despite this itchy defense mechanism, the cow-itch tree plays an important role in its ecosystem, providing food and shelter for local wildlife. And while humans need to keep a little distance, the tree itself stands as another example of how nature defends its creations with surprising creativity. After seeing how a simple touch can cause so much discomfort, one might think staying away from small trees is the safest bet. But in the deep rainforests, even the giants towering above can bring unexpected danger. In the dense rainforests of Central and South America, few trees command more awe than the kapok. Rising high above the jungle floor, these massive giants can grow over 200 feet tall, with trunks so wide that it can take several people joining hands to encircle one. They are the silent rulers of the canopy, and they carry their own hidden risks. The real danger of the kapok tree comes not from poison or thorns but from sheer size. In heavy storms or after long periods of rain, massive branches can snap and fall without warning. A single limb from a mature kapok can weigh thousands of pounds, and when it crashes down, it doesn't leave much room for second chances. Local communities that live near kapok trees respect them deeply. In many cultures, they are seen as sacred, often believed to be homes of spirits or ancient guardians. Some old legends even tell stories of entire villages gathering beneath their shade, only to treat the trees with quiet caution during storm season. Besides the danger, the kapok tree plays a vital role in the rainforest. It supports entire ecosystems within its towering limbs. Birds, insects, and mammals all find shelter high above the ground. It's a reminder that strength and danger often go hand in hand in the wild. From itching seeds to crashing branches, the rainforest proves again and again that survival often means learning to read the quiet warnings hidden all around. Across the forests of Europe, Asia, and North America, the yew tree grows with a quiet, almost timeless grace. With dark green needles and striking red berries, it has often been a symbol of immortality and mystery. But despite its calm appearance, the yew hides one of the most powerful natural poisons known to humans. Nearly every part of the yew, leaves, bark, seeds, contains toxic compounds. The only exception is the soft, bright red flesh surrounding its seeds, which birds can eat safely. For people, however, the danger is hidden where it's least expected. If a person were to crush or chew the seeds inside the berry, serious health problems could follow. The yew's danger is so subtle that it has worked its way into countless legends and ghost stories. In ancient times, warriors sometimes dipped arrows in extracts from yew trees to tip the odds in battle. Even today, botanists handle the tree with care, respecting its unusual chemical power. Interestingly, despite its dark side, the yew tree has given something back to the world. Modern scientists discovered that compounds from the yew can be used in important medicines, showing once again that danger and healing often grow side by side in nature. While the yew tree stands quietly with its hidden risks, some plants prefer to dress up their threats in bright colors, looking dazzling while concealing a different kind of danger. If plants had costumes, the monkshood would win every competition. With deep blue, purple, or white blossoms shaped like little hoods, this plant looks like it belongs in a fairy tale. Yet under that delicate appearance lies a powerful natural poison that has earned it names like Queen of Poisons across history. Monkshood thrives in cool, mountainous areas and shady gardens. Its beauty has attracted admirers for centuries, but few realize just how careful one must be around it. The entire plant, especially the roots, carries toxic compounds. Handling it without protection can sometimes lead to numbness or tingling sensations. Long ago, hunters and warriors made use of monkshood's properties by preparing their weapons with it. In folklore and early literature, the plant often symbolizes betrayal or unseen danger, a warning hidden beneath beauty. Today, monkshood is still grown ornamentally, but it comes with clear instructions. Look, but don't touch. Its story reminds us how appearances can be a perfect disguise, even in the natural world. If monkshood teaches caution through beauty, another tree teaches respect by silently guarding some of the most dangerous waterside regions on Earth. In the coastal wetlands of Southeast Asia and northern Australia, an unassuming tree thrives quietly in the muddy waters. It's the milky mangrove, and while it might look like any other mangrove at first glance, it carries a secret that few would want to stumble across unprepared. The milky mangrove produces a sap so potent that even a drop on the skin can cause blistering and serious irritation. Its name comes from the thick white liquid that leaks from broken twigs or damaged bark, a clear signal that this tree is not to be trifled with. People who accidentally handle it without protection often regret it soon after. What's more, if the sap touches the eyes, it can lead to temporary vision problems. That's why locals who work around milky mangroves wear gloves and take extra precautions, even if they've grown up surrounded by these trees. The risk isn't loud or dramatic. It's slow, silent, and hidden under the calm surface of the wetlands. Despite its dangers, the milky mangrove plays a critical role in protecting coastlines from erosion and supporting delicate ecosystems. Crabs, fish, and countless bird species depend on these forests for survival. Just like many others in this video, the milky mangrove reminds us that the most dangerous parts of nature often stay silent, waiting, unnoticed, until someone crosses an invisible line. In tropical regions around the world, the jatropha tree grows without much fuss, blending into roadsides, gardens, and open fields. Its bright green leaves and clusters of small flowers don't seem unusual at first. Yet hidden in its seeds is a danger powerful enough to earn it a place among nature's most toxic plants. The seeds of the jatropha tree contain natural compounds that are highly poisonous if consumed. Just a handful, if eaten by mistake, can cause serious health problems. In places where jatropha grows freely, locals have long known to warn children and travelers not to touch its fruits, no matter how harmless they look. Interestingly, parts of the jatropha tree have been used to produce biofuel, showing once again how a plant's deadliest features can also offer surprising uses when handled with care. Farmers sometimes grow it as a living fence, both because it's tough and because very few animals dare to nibble on its leaves. The jatropha stands as a final reminder: beauty in the plant world often comes with hidden costs. The trees and plants we've explored show that danger doesn't always come with warning signs or roaring threats. Sometimes it hides behind flowers, seeds, and quiet green leaves, waiting for those who don't know when to keep their distance.
Deep in the heart of Northern California's Redwood National Park, hidden beneath a thick emerald canopy, stands the tallest tree on the entire planet. Its name is Hyperion, a coast redwood that reaches higher than the Statue of Liberty, taller than Big Ben, and even surpasses the length of a Boeing 747. Measuring an astonishing 380.1 feet from base to tip, this natural skyscraper is the undisputed king of height in the plant world. Discovered in 2006 by two nature explorers who were simply bushwhacking through dense forest, Hyperion wasn't growing in a spotlighted clearing or on some protected ridge. It was just there, quietly towering above everything else, in a remote part of the park few people ever walk through. And it's no wonder its location is kept secret today. Scientists and park rangers refuse to reveal the exact spot, all to protect it from foot traffic, trampling, and the growing threat of careless tourism. Unlike the image most people have of giant redwoods growing straight up in open spaces, Hyperion shoots through a slope surrounded by other trees. Its top pokes into the sky through the canopy like a rocket breaching the clouds. What's even more surprising, it wasn't planted hundreds of years ago. This behemoth is estimated to be around 600 to 800 years old. In redwood terms, that's middle-aged. Some of its cousins live over 2,000 years. What makes Hyperion's size even more impressive is the fact that coast redwoods tend to suffer height loss over time from wind, storms, and lightning. Yet somehow Hyperion has escaped all of that. It has no massive burn marks, no shattered crown, and no sign of collapse. It simply keeps growing, inch by inch, defying expectations. And because redwoods grow from both their tips and their trunks, it's technically still getting taller though, at a slower rate these days. Some estimates suggest that Hyperion contains over 18,000 cubic feet of wood. That's enough lumber to build dozens of family homes, not that anyone's touching it. Redwoods like Hyperion are protected now, and for good reason. They're more than tall trees. They're living time capsules, older than most modern cities, surviving through droughts, fires, and the full sweep of human history. If Hyperion is the tallest, then General Sherman is the heaviest heavyweight of the tree world. This behemoth lives in California's Sequoia National Park and dominates everything around it with sheer bulk. Standing at 275 feet tall and over 36 feet wide at the base, General Sherman is officially the most massive living single-stem tree on Earth. It's not just tall, it's dense. It holds more wood volume than any known tree, weighing an estimated 2.7 million pounds. That's heavier than 10 blue whales. Named in the 1800s after Civil War General William Tecumseh Sherman, the tree has been standing for more than 2,200 years. That means when Julius Caesar was still alive, this tree was already towering in the Sierra Nevada. What makes it so incredible isn't just its age or size, it's how alive it still is. The upper branches of Sherman are growing. The trunk thickens every year, it's expanding, breathing, and thriving, while people from every corner of the world gather at its base just to look up and feel tiny. The trunk alone could fill more than 40 railroad cars with solid wood. And yet its root system only goes down about 12 to 14 feet in astonishing detail considering it supports such mass. The secret? General Sherman's roots spread wide, stretching over an acre underground and interlocking with nearby trees to form a living support network. Like nature's version of reinforced concrete. It's fenced off now to protect its shallow roots from the millions of visitors who come every year. And although one of its massive limbs fell off in the early 2000s, a branch bigger than most full-grown trees, the fall wasn't a sign of weakness. The tree simply dropped the limb to reduce strain and continue growing. That's how these giants work. They adapt. Standing at its base, you don't just feel small, you feel like you're in the presence of something ancient and calm. General Sherman is the kind of tree that makes time feel different. Less linear, more eternal. A real-life ent that never needed CGI to be legendary. In the small Mexican town of Santa Maria del Tule, near Oaxaca, there's a tree so wide, it looks like it swallowed a dozen others just to form its trunk. This is El Árbol del Tule, the stoutest, thickest tree on Earth. It's a Montezuma cypress with a diameter of more than 38 feet and a circumference stretching over 137 feet. To walk around its base, you'd have to take a stroll longer than the length of a tennis court. Unlike the redwoods or sequoias, this tree isn't locked away in a national park or hidden in a remote forest. It's growing right in front of a church, smack in the middle of town. Locals have known and loved it for centuries, calling it the Tree of Life. And when you look closely at the gnarled bark, it's easy to see why. The knots, ridges, and curves seem to form shapes, faces, animals, even mythical creatures. It's like nature carved its own totem pole. The tree is estimated to be over 1,500 years old, though some say it could be even older. Scientists have had a hard time pinning down its exact age because the trunk is so wide and twisted that core sampling is nearly impossible. But whatever the number, this isn't just a big tree, it's a cultural landmark. Locals celebrate it every year with music, dance, and festivals dedicated entirely to this living sculpture. Árbol del Tule is not very tall, about 115 feet, but it more than makes up for that in girth. Standing next to it feels surreal, like walking beside a wooden wall that stretches into the sky. And it's not hollow. That massive trunk is all solid wood, giving it a total volume that rivals some of the biggest redwoods. The tree has weathered droughts, storms, and the rise of modern civilization around it. And somehow it's still putting out fresh green leaves every spring. Tourists often think it's several trees fused together. But no, it's one. Just one massive living being that has stood still while the world changed around it. Deep within California's Sequoia National Park, not far from General Sherman, lives another natural monarch, the president tree. It may not hold the record for tallest or fattest, but when it comes to sheer branch spread and wood volume, it's a serious contender. Named in honor of President Warren G. Harding in the 1920s, this sequoia stands over 247 feet tall and nearly 27 feet wide. But what sets it apart is the enormous crown that looks like it could shade an entire village. The president is packed with more than 2 billion needles. It holds the record for the most foliage ever measured on a single tree. The limbs of this tree don't just extend outward, they curl and rise like arms, branching in every direction like something straight out of a fantasy film. A team from National Geographic once photographed it over the course of 32 days using ropes, drones, and vertical stitching software to reveal its full form. The result looked like a living skyscraper made entirely from muscle and bark. Even in winter, with snow blanketing the ground, the president stands defiant. It's one of the few sequoias that continues to grow in every direction. While many older trees lose height over time, the president adds both mass and height, slowly and steadily. It's a reminder that size isn't just about reaching up, it's also about how deeply something branches out. This tree is also a favorite of scientists because it tells a long story. Its rings record not just its own life, but the climate history of the Sierra Nevada. Wildfires, droughts, cool spells, it's all in there. That means every inch of wood inside the president is like a page from a living encyclopedia. And unlike most of its rivals, the president is still gaining weight roughly a cubic meter of wood every year. That might not sound like much, but in tree terms, that's like packing on a new layer of armor annually. A slow but unstoppable growth curve that's lasted over 300 years. Few trees are famous enough to be featured on postcards and road trip bucket lists, but California's chandelier tree has done just that. Located in Leggett, this giant coast redwood has a tunnel carved straight through its trunk, wide enough to let a car pass. At 276 feet tall and about 21 feet wide at its base, the chandelier tree got its name from the way its branches flare out like the arms of a chandelier hanging in a forest cathedral. The tunnel was carved in the 1930s, back when driving through a tree was seen as the ultimate roadside photo op. People would pile into their cars, roll through the tree, and snap a photo with half their bumper still inside the hollowed trunk. Today, smaller vehicles can still fit through, although the tree's caretakers are much more cautious about protecting it than in the past. While carving into a living tree might seem shocking today, the chandelier tree has managed to survive and thrive in spite of it. The tunnel only goes through the outer heartwood, so the tree's vital layers where nutrients and water flow remain intact. Decades later, it's still standing, still growing, and still drawing crowds. This tree is a reminder of how different times were when curiosity led people to do things that would never be allowed today. And yet, even after all that, the chandelier tree is still alive. That resilience is part of what makes redwoods so legendary. The area around the tree is now a peaceful grove with picnic tables and old-fashioned signs. It's not just a gimmick, it's a living monument. A piece of Americana where nature and nostalgia meet. And if you time it right, you can still drive through the same tree your grandparents might have visited on their honeymoon. Tucked away on a quiet farm in South Africa, once stood one of the world's most iconic trees, the Sunland Baobab. This wasn't just any old baobab. It was a 72-foot tall, 155-foot wide legend, with a hollow trunk so massive that it had a fully functioning bar built inside. That's right, a tree with stools, a counter, and even a dartboard. The hollow wasn't man-made. Over thousands of years, the tree naturally developed an inner chamber, roughly 40 feet wide. Locals realized it was big enough to walk through, then big enough to furnish, and eventually turned it into a small pub that welcomed curious tourists from all over the world. At its peak, the Sunland Baobab could comfortably host 15 people inside, with walls made entirely of living bark. Scientists estimated the tree's age to be over 1,000 years. Its trunk was split into two main parts, like natural towers fused by time. Inside, the air was cool and earthy, lit by soft bulbs and filtered through little openings in the wood. It felt less like a tree and more like a natural cathedral, carved by the wind and rain instead of human hands. Sadly, in recent years, one of the tree's great sections collapsed, a reminder that even giants eventually bow to time. But the remaining portion still stands and draws visitors, its roots gripping the soil like ancient claws. The baobab may be nicknamed the upside-down tree because of its bare branches that resemble roots, but it's also a symbol of endurance. Even without the bar, the tree remains a natural monument, a place where nature and imagination once shared a drink. At first glance, it might look like a giant haystack grew on a tree. But look closer and you'll see something extraordinary. Dozens of interconnected bird nests fused together into one massive superstructure. Welcome to the world of the sociable weaver, and the African tree that supports an entire avian city. This phenomenon is common in the savannas of southern Africa, especially on camel thorn trees. The birds build one communal nest, not just for a single family, but for a whole colony. We're talking up to 100 nesting chambers, home to hundreds of birds. The result looks like a shaggy, oversized roof hanging from tree limbs. It's like a treehouse, only the tenants fly. What's fascinating is how organized it all is. The upper nests are cooler and ideal for hot days, while the lower ones are warmer during chilly nights. Multiple generations of birds live together, each helping feed and protect the young. In nature, cooperation this intense is rare, but these birds turn the tree into an avian metropolis. The structure is so heavy that it can sometimes break branches. But camel thorns are built tough. Their spiny limbs support the weight and provide shade and safety from predators. Other animals like owls, falcons, and even snakes have been spotted using the nests either as neighbors or invaders. This living city is not a single tree species, but a relationship tree and bird evolving side by side. It's architecture, biology, and teamwork all bundled into one spectacular site. And yes, the nests are permanent. They stay up for decades, with some structures passing the century mark. A tree that becomes a home for an entire community? In the wild, that's as close to Wakanda as it gets. In India's Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose Botanical Garden, there's a tree so massive that from a distance, it looks like an entire forest. But walk inside, and you'll realize it's all one organism, the Great Banyan Tree. It spans over 3.5 acres with more than 3,700 aerial roots reaching down from its branches and anchoring into the ground like tree trunks. These roots become support pillars, and the original trunk is now just one part of a much larger living structure. It's like nature copied and pasted itself thousands of times. The Great Banyan is over 250 years old and still expanding. Its central trunk was damaged during a storm decades ago and had to be removed, but the rest of the tree didn't care. It simply kept growing outward. Today, it looks like a natural colonnade, with thick woody pillars holding up a vast green ceiling. Walking under it feels like entering an ancient temple. Light filters through the canopy. Birds chatter. Monkeys occasionally swing between branches. It's alive in every direction. Tourists often have to remind themselves that they haven't stepped into multiple trees, just one, endlessly cloned by its own biology. What makes banyans special is their ability to root from their own limbs. They're self-replicating structures, continuously spreading. In spiritual traditions, banyans are seen as sacred. In scientific terms, they're almost alien, a tree that creates its own ecosystem. It's not the tallest, it's not the oldest. But when it comes to width and wonder, the Great Banyan stands in a league of its own. Deep in Brazil's Atlantic forest grows a tree so large and so awe-inspiring, it doesn't just get stared at, it gets climbed. This is the giant kapok tree, or Taba pentandra, a towering titan with thick, fluted roots that look like frozen waves. In one part of the country, this very tree has been fitted with ladders and safety harnesses, turning it into a real-life canopy elevator. The trunk is wide enough to rival a truck, with a textured surface that feels sculpted. Once you start climbing, each rung reveals just how enormous the kapok truly is. It takes several minutes of steady ascent before the canopy opens, and when it does, you're standing above a sea of green. Kapoks grow over 200 feet tall and are sacred in many indigenous cultures. They anchor ecosystems, feeding bats, birds, and insects with their flowers and seed pods. It looks like a tranquil grove of trembling aspens in Utah, dozens of thin white trunks swaying gently in the breeze. But here's the twist, they're not individual trees, they're one. Pando, also known as the Trembling Giant, is a clonal colony of quaking aspens. Every trunk in that 106-acre forest is genetically identical, all connected to a single underground root system. It's considered the heaviest known living organism on Earth, weighing an estimated 13 million pounds. Pando isn't a newcomer. Scientists believe this massive organism is at least 9,000 years old, making it older than the pyramids, Stonehenge, and nearly every known civilization. Some even speculate that its root system could date back as far as 14,000 years. Each trunk lives around 100 to 150 years before dying and being replaced by a new shoot. So while individual trees come and go, the organism itself continues, like a living wave that never stops flowing. From above, it looks like a golden sea in fall, and a bright green quilt in spring. Visitors often have no idea they're walking through one of Earth's most mysterious living beings. The sheer scale is almost impossible to comprehend. There's no single trunk. Pando is the opposite of the usual tree story it spreads instead of soars. The challenge now is protecting it. Human interference, grazing animals, and climate change have started to slow Pando's natural regeneration. Conservationists are working hard to ensure this ancient entity survives long into the future. Because if there's one forest that proves nature can outthink us, it's this one. In the ancient Waipua forest of New Zealand lives a tree with a name as grand as its form, Tematuan Gahere, or Father of the Forest. It's not the tallest kauri. That title goes to its neighbor, Taine Mahuta. But when it comes to width, Tematuan Gahere is unmatched. Its trunk measures over 52 feet in circumference. That's nearly the length of a bowling lane, wrapped in thick, deeply furrowed bark. The tree stands just under 100 feet tall, but it's the sheer girth that makes jaws drop. Standing at its base, people look like tiny figurines next to a living column of history. This tree is estimated to be between 2,000 and 3,000 years old. It has survived volcanic eruptions, storms, and centuries of isolation. Many of the native Māori people consider it sacred, and when you're there, standing in the silence of that forest, it's easy to see why. There's a kind of gravity around it, not in mass, but in presence. The roots of kauri trees release a resin that helps protect against disease and pests. This might be part of why Tematuan Gahere has lived so long. Its bark feels like armor. The canopy stretches wide and filters sunlight into soft greens. It's a living relic, one of the last giants of a world long past. Modern visitors must keep their distance now, following strict paths to avoid trampling the sensitive roots. Even human breath is considered risky. Moisture can carry pathogens. The efforts to protect it are serious, and rightly so. There aren't many beings left on Earth that have watched the centuries pass in silence. This tree is one of them. On the slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily stands a tree wrapped in legend, the chestnut tree of 100 horses. According to centuries-old stories, a queen and her entire entourage of 100 knights once took shelter beneath this tree during a sudden thunderstorm. Whether or not the story is true doesn't matter much, because the tree is absolutely massive. The chestnut is estimated to be between 2,000 and 4,000 years old. That would make it the oldest known chestnut tree in the world. At its thickest, the tree's trunk once measured over 190 feet in circumference. That's wider than many houses. Today, it appears to be multiple trees growing close together, but researchers believe they all stem from a single root system. This tree has outlived empires, wars, and lava flows. It sits quietly near the edge of one of the most active volcanoes on Earth, enduring fire and ash with stubborn resilience. Despite everything, it still blooms, still produces chestnuts, and still draws travelers who've heard the story. Locals treat the tree with respect. It's fenced off now, protected as a national treasure. And although the trunk has split over time into separate segments, the root system remains one linking the parts into a single living legacy. It's not every day that you find a tree tied to both science and royalty, but then again, there's only one chestnut of 100 horses, and it's still standing, still watching, still whispering the stories that time forgot. Hidden deep in Tasmania's southern forests stands Centurion, Australia's tallest tree, and one of the tallest flowering plants on Earth. It's a mountain ash, or Eucalyptus regnans, soaring an incredible 327 feet into the sky. That's taller than a 30-story building and still growing. Discovered only in 2008 using laser scanning tech, Centurion survived devastating wildfires that scorched much of the surrounding landscape. While many eucalypts live fast and die young, this giant is over 350 years old and still reaching higher. Trunk straight as a tower, crowned with a thick canopy of leaves. What makes Centurion stand out isn't just its height, but its resilience. Its smooth bark sheds fire easily, and it regrows leaves at lightning speed. Scientists carefully monitor it now, climbing it with ropes and drones to study its health and growth. In a country known for extremes, Centurion is a quiet monument, tall, tough, and almost otherworldly. High in the misty mountains of Yakushima Island grows a tree wrapped in mystery, Jomonsugi. It's the largest and oldest known cryptomeria tree in Japan, estimated to be over 2,000 years old, with some guesses stretching beyond 7,000. Its massive, gnarled trunk rises 83 feet high and nearly 55 feet around at the base, weathered, twisted, and cloaked in moss. Jomonsugi wasn't discovered until the 1960s, hidden deep in ancient forest. Since then, it's become a sacred symbol of time and endurance. Getting there isn't easy. The trail takes hours to hike, winding through one of the wettest places in the world. The tree itself is now roped off to protect its roots. Visitors can only view it from a distance, but even from there, it looks like something out of a Studio Ghibli film, quiet, powerful, and wise. Surrounded by mist and centuries of silence, Jomonsugi isn't just a tree. It's living history. A pink lake, a glowing volcano, a rainbow mountain, no filters, no tricks. These unreal places actually exist on Earth. At first glance, it looks like someone took a paintbrush to an entire mountain range. Waves of red, yellow, blue, and green streak across the landscape in a pattern so precise and vivid, it seems artificial. But these surreal slopes are completely natural welcome to Zhangye Dangxia in China's Gansu province, home to the Rainbow Mountains. These colorful ridges formed over 24 million years as layers of sandstone and minerals slowly stacked atop one another, each bringing its own tint. Over time, tectonic shifts pushed the layers upward, while wind and rain sculpted their flowing shapes. What's left today is a landscape that looks like it was stolen from a dream sequence in a sci-fi movie, or maybe from the set of Doctor Strange. The most dazzling thing about the Rainbow Mountains isn't just the colors, it's how they shift throughout the day. At sunrise and sunset, the light hits the mineral bands at just the right angle, making the hills glow as if they're lit from within. On cloudy days, the palette softens into deep pastels like a watercolor painting left to dry on the horizon. Tourists walk along designated viewing platforms, but even standing still, the landscape feels like it's moving the curves, the stripes, the textures. It's hypnotic. And what's wild is how different it looks depending on where you stand. From one side, it might look like a rainbow blanket draped over a canyon. From another, it resembles the layered icing of a giant cake, sculpted by nature's steady hand. Zhangye Dangxia isn't just photogenic. It's proof that Earth still has secrets that outshine fantasy. Towering at 233 feet tall, with eyes calmly closed and hands resting on his knees, the Leishan giant Buddha isn't just carved into a mountain, he is the mountain. Facing the convergence of three rivers, this colossal stone figure was chiseled straight into the cliff during the Tang Dynasty over 1,200 years ago. And remarkably, he's still watching over the water like a silent guardian. The scale is staggering. Each eyebrow is over 18 feet long. His fingernails could cradle a grown adult. Up close, the Buddha's face seems gentle and human, yet serene in a way that feels bigger than life. From a distance, he blends seamlessly into the cliff, almost like a secret hidden in plain sight. What's even more mind-blowing is that the monks who built him designed a drainage system hidden inside the statue, one that still works today. Rainwater is diverted away from his head and shoulders through channels carved in the stone, preserving his shape from erosion for centuries. That kind of ancient engineering is rare and even rarer to still function. With steep stairs zigzagging beside him and lush greenery wrapping around his shoulders, the Leshan Buddha looks more like a lost relic from a fantasy universe than something you can still visit today. It's hard not to feel small in his presence, and even harder to believe he's real. This isn't a Photoshop trick or a clever camera angle. Salar de Uyuni is a real place where the earth and sky become one. When a thin layer of rain falls over this endless salt flat in Bolivia, it turns into the world's largest mirror, reflecting everything above it in crisp, perfect detail. It's the flattest place on Earth, stretching more than 4,000 square miles. When dry, it looks like a vast white ocean frozen in place. But when wet, people and vehicles look like they're walking across the clouds. It's disorienting, magical, and completely real. Salar de Uyuni is also packed with science. It holds one of the planet's richest lithium reserves and has a hexagonal crust pattern that forms naturally as the salt contracts and expands under the blazing sun. Even without the mirror effect, the landscape would still look like something off-world, maybe a training ground for astronauts or a CGI backdrop from Dune. Tourists often pose for surreal photos here, a dinosaur chasing a tiny man, a backpack balancing a full-grown adult. The sheer emptiness of the space plays tricks on your depth perception, letting you bend the rules of perspective. This isn't just a spot to take cool photos, it's one of the rare places that makes you question where the Earth ends and the sky begins. In the middle of the Krakum Desert, there's a blazing crater that looks like a portal to another world. Flames dance across the pit day and night, and a sulfurous heat rises from its core. Locals call it the door to hell, and once you've seen it, the name sticks. This fiery hole wasn't born from myth or a meteorite, it was the result of a 1970s gas drilling accident. The ground collapsed under the team's rig, revealing a massive underground cavern full of natural gas. Fearing it might release dangerous fumes, scientists decided to ignite it, expecting it to burn off in a few weeks. That was over 50 years ago. It's still burning. The crater is around 230 feet wide and 100 feet deep, big enough to swallow a building. At night, the orange glow stretches far into the sky, drawing in insects, camels, and the occasional stunned traveler. It hums with heat, and the air near the rim shimmers, as if reality is bending. It doesn't look like Earth. It looks like something out of a heavy metal album cover or a deleted scene from Stranger Things. And yet, it's become a tourist hotspot, despite being hours from civilization. People come from around the world just to stare into it, as if waiting for something to rise up. It's dangerous, yes, but mesmerizing. A burning accident turned into one of the world's most unforgettable sights. Lava is red. It's always red, except here. At night, the volcano known as Kawa Ijen glows with an eerie electric blue, spilling flames down its rocky slopes like some kind of sci-fi magic. And no, it's not a digital effect, it's chemistry. What's really burning isn't the rock, it's sulfuric gases escaping from cracks in the volcano and igniting when they hit the air. The result is a blaze of bright blue fire, often mistaken for lava. In the dark, the effect is stunning. It looks like someone poured neon paint over the mountain and set it alight. This volcano also contains the world's largest highly acidic crater lake. It's a strange, otherworldly turquoise by day, almost too colorful to seem natural and ringed by steam vents and mineral formations that hiss and bubble like something alive. The area is so extreme, it's drawn the attention of scientists and photographers from across the globe. Some say it resembles the inner chambers of a fantasy villain's lair, glowing, toxic, and awe-inspiring. Despite its remote location on Java Island, travelers hike for hours through sulfur clouds just to witness the light show. The closer you get, the more it feels like you're stepping into a dream, one lit by blue fire and wrapped in smoke. Carved by centuries of flash floods and desert winds, Antelope Canyon is a narrow sandstone maze that looks more like the inside of a gemstone than anything on Earth. Soft light filters in from above, bouncing off the walls and turning them into glowing waves of orange, gold, violet, and deep red. It's silent inside, not just quiet, but still like time hit pause. Located on Navajo land in northern Arizona, this slot canyon was shaped drop by rushing water. The walls twist and ripple, narrowing and expanding in graceful curves that make each turn feel like stepping into a new sculpture. At certain times of year, sunbeams pierce the gaps above and hit the sand below like divine spotlights. The place is so photogenic it's practically a celebrity. You've seen it on screensavers, magazine covers, and even music videos, but nothing prepares you for being inside. Each step reveals a new color shift, a new angle. It's one of those places where light becomes paint and the canyon walls become a living canvas. And despite its otherworldly appearance, this place is still active. Water still flows through it during monsoon season. It's always changing slowly, beautifully, unpredictably. If you were dropped into Chile's Valley of the Moon and told you were on Mars, you wouldn't question it. This jagged, windswept terrain stretches across the Atacama Desert with towering rock formations, salt-covered ridges, and cracked earth that crunches underfoot like shattered glass. Named for its eerie resemblance to the lunar surface, the Valley of the Moon is one of the driest places on Earth. Some parts haven't seen rain in centuries. There are no trees, no rivers, just raw geology exposed under one of the clearest skies in the world. Astronomers love it. So do sci-fi directors. The colors here aren't loud, but they're powerful rust-red cliffs, bone-white salt, and dusky purples that come alive at sunset. When the wind picks up, the valley almost hums not with sound, but with energy. Caves, craters, and dunes appear like set pieces from a lost world. At night, the stars are impossibly bright. With no light pollution, the Milky Way stretches from one horizon to the other, turning the valley into a cosmic amphitheater. If Earth ever needed to double as another planet, this is where you'd film it. Hidden in the turquoise waters of Chile's General Carrera Lake lies one of the most delicate natural wonders on the planet, the Marble Caves. These smooth, swirling formations look like they were carved by hand, their walls streaked with blue, white, and gray, echoing the water that shaped them. The caves aren't just beside the lake, they're in the lake. You can only reach them by boat or kayak, gliding across some of the clearest water you'll ever see. As you enter, light filters through the surface and reflects upward, casting soft, shifting patterns on the cave walls. The effect is surreal, like drifting through a cathedral sculpted by water and time. These formations are made from solid marble, yet they feel soft and alive. That contrast is part of the magic. Over 6,000 years, waves wore away the stone into arches, tunnels, and columns that look more like abstract art than geology. Depending on the season and time of day, the caves change color. In spring, when the lake is filled with snowmelt, everything glows a bright glacial blue. Later in the year, golden light seeps through, warming the marble from within. Out in Nevada's Black Rock Desert, in a place that seems way too flat and empty to hide anything unusual, a geyser rises out of the earth like some kind of alien sculpture. Covered in layers of green, red, and yellow minerals, it looks like it just burst from the pages of a fantasy book, glowing, steaming, and pulsing with life. Fly Geyser wasn't part of a national park or some ancient legend. It was actually created by accident. Back in the 1960s, a drilling operation tapped into a geothermal pocket. Water began to spray from the ground, and honestly, it hasn't stopped since. Over the decades, minerals in the water built up into this multi-tiered mound that grows a little more each year. The geyser constantly spews hot water, and thanks to the minerals and algae, it's become a rainbow-colored fountain. Up close, it bubbles and hisses like it's alive. From a distance, it looks like a surreal fountain just dropped into the middle of nowhere. Few people even know it exists. It's not on billboards or tourist brochures, but those who see it always say the same thing: it just doesn't look real. And yet, it's one of the most bizarre and beautiful landmarks the American West has to offer. Somewhere off the coast of Yemen, rising out of the Arabian Sea, there's an island that doesn't even look like it belongs to Earth. Socotra is often called the most alien-looking place on the planet, and honestly, one glance tells you why. Trees with umbrella-shaped crowns, desert roses that grow like sculptures, and landscapes that just feel plucked from a fantasy map. The most famous plant here is the dragon's blood tree. Its thick branches stretch upward like a nerve system turned inside out, and when cut, it bleeds a deep red sap. For centuries, this resin was used as medicine, dye, and even incense, and it still flows today. Over 1/3 of the species on Socotra are found nowhere else in the world. The island's isolation created an ecosystem that evolved in its own direction, untouched by modern life. Even the beaches are strange golden sand, meeting turquoise waters under cliffs that look like crumbled fortresses. Socotra isn't easy to get to, but those who make the trip are rewarded with a place so rich in natural oddities, it feels like you've stepped through a portal. The air smells like frankincense and salt. The hills buzz with creatures you've never seen before. It's not science fiction, it's one of Earth's most extraordinary gardens. In southwestern Turkey, hills rise like frozen waterfalls, layer upon layer of snow-white stone. But this isn't ice, it's mineral-rich travertine, shaped by thermal waters bubbling from deep below the Earth's surface. Welcome to Pamukkale, known as the Cotton Castle for its cloud-like terraces and dreamy blue pools. For thousands of years, hot spring water has cascaded down the slopes here, leaving behind calcium deposits that harden into natural steps. These terraces glisten in the sun and glow golden during sunset. The water, always warm, collects in shallow pools you can soak in, suspended between earth and sky. It's no surprise that the ancient Romans built the spa city of Hierapolis right above it. You can still walk through the ruins, then step into the same thermal baths once used by emperors. The view is surreal green hills, white cliffs, and turquoise water that looks filtered but isn't. Seen from above, Pamukkale looks like a gigantic tiered cake, dusted with sugar and dotted with glassy icing. Yet up close, the textures are delicate, almost sculpted. And while many places boast beauty, very few feel this calm, this complete. Deep in the Serranía de la Macarena range in Colombia, there's a river that breaks all the rules of nature. It's not just blue. It's red, green, yellow, and violet, all flowing together like liquid rainbow. This is Cano Cristales, the river of 5 colors, and no, your screen isn't lying. What creates this explosion of color isn't algae or dyes. It's a rare aquatic plant called Macarenia clavigera that blooms in vibrant shades when conditions are just right. The riverbed becomes a living canvas, one that shifts with the season, sunlight, and water depth. Between June and November, the show begins. Tourists arrive by small planes and jungle trails to witness this biological miracle. In some stretches, the water is so clear you can see the red plants waving like underwater flames beneath the surface. The area around the river is protected, so no roads or resorts clutter the landscape. It's raw, pristine, and feels untouched. Birds call overhead and the air smells of wet stone and earth. Some even call it the most beautiful river in the world, not because it's the biggest or longest, but because no other waterway looks quite like it. Tucked away in the desert on the Arizona-Utah border is a sandstone formation so strange, it looks like Earth tried to become a surrealist painting. This is the Wave, a swirling maze of red and orange rock, frozen in motion like a sculpture made of flame. Formed over 190 million years ago, these Navajo sandstone ridges were once ancient sand dunes, compressed and hardened by time, then carved by wind and water into a labyrinth of curves. Each ripple seems to move even though it's solid, like you're standing on the crest of a petrified wave. Getting here is no small feat. The wave only allows about 20 visitors per day, selected by a permit lottery. And the hike isn't easy, just over 6 miles round trip across unmarked desert terrain. But those who make the journey say it's like stepping into another dimension. Photographers love the wave for good reason. The way light plays off the layered ridges shifts by the hour. At sunrise, it glows gold. By noon, it pulses with heat and shadow. No two shots are the same. No 2 days are either. In the heart of China's Hunan province rises a forest of stone. Towering sandstone spires stretch thousands of feet into the mist, each one crowned with trees that cling like green toupees to the very tips. This is Wulingyuan, and if it looks like something from Avatar, that's because it was. This UNESCO World Heritage Site contains over 3,000 narrow, pillar-like formations sculpted by time and erosion. Fog often rolls through the valleys, making the spires appear to float a real-life Pandora. James Cameron drew direct inspiration from here when designing his fictional world, and once you see it, it's obvious. But Wulingyuan isn't just a backdrop, it's a full experience. Glass walkways hug cliffsides, cable cars climb into the sky, and ancient temples sit nestled among the peaks. The stone towers, some taller than the Empire State Building, seem to defy gravity. The area is home to caves, ravines, waterfalls, and wildlife found nowhere else. It's an ecosystem suspended in midair. Walk the trails and you'll hear birds echoing between the cliffs, while clouds drift silently around your feet. Just off the coast of Western Australia lies a lake so pink, it looks like it's filled with strawberry milkshake. Lake Hillier isn't colored by sunset or trick photography, it's truly, shockingly pink all year round. And even when scooped into a bottle, the water stays just as vibrant. Scientists believe the color comes from a unique combination of salt-loving microalgae and bacteria that produce reddish pigments. Combined with the lake's extreme salinity, the result is a natural phenomenon that seems made for social media, but existed long before smartphones. Surrounded by eucalyptus forest and separated from the ocean by a thin strip of sand, Lake Hillier is a visual surprise. One side deep blue sea, the other neon pink lake. It's one of the few places where nature went off script and painted outside the lines. You can't swim in it, the high salt levels would dry your skin fast, but you can fly over or visit nearby Middle Island to catch the full effect. From above, it looks like a bubblegum drop nestled in a sea of green and blue. On the island of Bohol in the Philippines, hundreds of nearly identical hills rise from the landscape like oversized gumdrops. These are the Chocolate Hills, over 1,200 of them, stretching across more than 20 square miles in perfect natural symmetry. In the dry season, the grass covering these cone-shaped mounds turns brown, giving them their chocolate name. But even when green, their shape and pattern look too precise to be natural. Some locals even believed they were built by giants. Geologists say they formed from ancient coral deposits, eroded over millennia into this strange, repeating pattern. But even with an explanation, the site still feels dreamlike. It's rare to see so much repetition in nature without human involvement, like a terrain generation glitch in a video game. You can climb to a viewing deck for a panoramic look, and it's mesmerizing. A quiet army of hills standing in formation, unmoving and untouched. Few places are this peaceful and this weird in the best possible way. Tucked away in the jungle of Mindanao lies a river so blue, so clear, it barely looks real. The enchanted river in Hinatuan feels like a hidden spring from a fantasy story, a narrow, winding body of water that glows an otherworldly shade of sapphire even on cloudy days. No one knows exactly how deep it is. The center seems bottomless, dropping into a mysterious underwater cave system that divers have yet to fully explore. What we do know is that its color is the result of mineral-rich water filtered through underground limestone, a perfect storm of geology and light. Locals speak of spirits guarding the river, and honestly, standing on its banks, it's easy to understand why. The jungle wraps tightly around it, and the water seems to emit its own glow. Every afternoon at noon, feeding the fish is part of the ritual people watch silently as enormous fish emerge from the deep to grab food, only to vanish seconds later into the blue unknown. You don't need myths to believe in magic here. The place sells the illusion all by itself. There are forests made of trees, and then there's this one, a jagged expanse of razor-sharp limestone needles rising from the earth like a field of blades. The Tsingy de Bemaraha in Madagascar isn't just strange, it's practically alien. The word Tsingy means where one cannot walk barefoot, and that's no exaggeration. These spires are sharp enough to slice shoes and dense enough to create natural fortresses. From above, the landscape looks like petrified storm waves frozen mid-crash. Below, deep crevices hide caves, rare plants, and animals found nowhere else. Bridges and ladders now wind through the forest, letting visitors explore its upper levels. Birds and lemurs leap between the narrow peaks, somehow navigating a terrain that humans can barely touch. This isn't a place that looks like anything else on Earth. It's a glimpse into a version of nature that ignored the usual rules. Wild, untouched, and impossible to forget. From a distance, it looks like a giant painter spilled buckets of color across the desert. Up close, Spotted Lake in British Columbia reveals itself as something even stranger, a shallow, mineral-rich lake where natural pools form dozens of circular patterns, each a different shade of yellow, green, or blue. This bizarre mosaic appears most vividly in the summer, when the lake begins to dry up. Left behind are puddles separated by mineral ridges, almost like cells under a microscope. Each spot is made from a unique blend of magnesium sulfate, calcium, and other elements, giving it a distinct color and texture. Long revered by indigenous people as a sacred site, the lake remains fenced off to protect its fragile surface. But from the roadside, the view is unforgettable. It doesn't look like water. It looks like Earth's skin peeled back to reveal something ancient beneath. That's about it. Which place amazed you the most? Write in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.